This episode of Test Drive is made possible by RateMyEV.com.
I first and last drove the Hyundai Kona Electric way back in 2019, and while it is now on a second generation, completely redesigned outside and in, a lot of the specifications for the electric are pretty familiar. For starters, the 201 horsepower or 150 kilowatt single electric motor on this is the same horsepower numbers from 2019. Although the torque is down, used to be 290 pound-feet, now is only 188. The 64.8 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery is pretty familiar, and even the price, which I think really is the big takeaway from this. Back in 2019, the Kona Electric Ultimate was $51,999 Canadian as tested, but we didn't include delivery fees back then. We do today. This vehicle, as tested, just a little bit over $53,000 Canadian or $43,000 in the US. So price hasn't really gone up in the last 6 years, whereas price has gone up for absolutely everything else in the automotive world. And then the electric range on this, again, pretty similar numbers to 2019, but 420 kilometers or 260 miles. But what I'm going to do today is take this vehicle on the road, tell you why this could be a good contender if you're in the market for an electric vehicle. We'll talk about some of the direct competition to the Kona Electric, and I'll also tell you about how much this vehicle would cost you if you were looking to buy this versus the gas version, and how long you have to drive it in order to break even on this much more expensive Kona Electric. Alright, so first off, let's get the energy efficiency out of the way. We completed our 100 kilometer test loop in eco mode in 20.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. It's not great, and kind of goes to show why I'm only getting about 320 kilometers of range. It's cold out. Right now it's 9 degrees. It's actually pretty nice, but most of the week it's been like 0 degrees Celsius. It actually snowed yesterday. So it hasn't been the most enjoyable weather, especially for driving an electric vehicle, but for what I'm using in a vehicle like this for, it's fine. I'm doing stuff in town. Monday I drove this home, about 175 kilometers. I got back with 39% battery, let's say. I used a fast charger just to get it done quicker, and then I brought it home, charged it up overnight, 100%. Tuesday onward, I haven't plugged the vehicle in because I don't need to. With, up to 420 kilometers of range in ideal temperatures, that's a good amount of range from a small electric vehicle such as this. So I don't need a whole lot more. And if you think about the sort of direct competitors, now that every other newer electric vehicle is coming out with a all-wheel drive option, this kind of only competes with a few vehicles that can only come in front-wheel drive. One of them is the new Fiat 500e, which is something I've thought about driving, but it is pretty low range. And for about $48,000 Canadian, you're getting less power and quite a bit less range than this. So this certainly makes a lot more sense. And then something that we drove a long time ago now, the Mazda MX-30, again, coming in around that same $48,000 price point, fully loaded, front-wheel drive only, has almost half of the battery capacity of this vehicle. You are not getting a whole lot of range whatsoever. So if you're looking for a city car, a commuter vehicle that you're driving in the city, those are great. This is fine as well. But with the extra range and extra space on this, you can live with this if you're doing a little bit more. And like I said, I have driven this in town. I've gone to London. I've gone around the city. I don't think about charging it. And with the scheduling and everything, I can set it to off-peak hours. I don't have to worry. I come into the vehicle. It's warmed up for me already when I go to leave in the morning and in the afternoon. That's what I like about electric vehicles. And essentially, this ticks off all the check marks for things I look for in an electric vehicle. We have dual zone climate control. You have a driver-only option, which I can click just like that. And now the HVAC is just blowing towards me. Heated ventilated seats, 360 camera, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have built-in navigation, 360 cameras. Out back, okay, maybe it's not as fun for the rear passengers. There's no heated seats, but you do have the vents in the center there, as well as 2 USB-C ports. So there's some good features. I mean, for the price for an electric vehicle, you do get quite a good amount of kit. It's much like any other subcompact crossover, though. A little bit more road noise than you would like. I do hear through the windows a little bit, and through these, non-existent sound insulation, it is a little bit noisier in here. The ride and handling are pretty good as well. The ride, especially since this weighs about the same weight as a full-size pickup truck, it does eat up the bumps pretty well, as you would expect a vehicle that weighs this much to do, because the center of gravity is nice and low like other electric vehicles. you're in pretty good shape. So for the most part, you don't have to worry too much. I do like the drive. I do like the feel. It feels heavy though. You really do feel the weight, the absolute monumental weight of this vehicle. Not only when you're turning, I mean, it's just a heavy feel to the steering wheel, but the vehicle itself feels heavy as you're going through turns. That's just the nature of an electric vehicle. I like it, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I've enjoyed my time with it. My family, not so much. It's one of those downsides. You know, last week I had the Cadillac Escalade, one of the largest vehicles you could buy on the market, and now I'm driving one of the smallest vehicles on the market. But I enjoy it because it doesn't cost me a whole lot to drive. It's comfortable enough, it's spacious enough, and really, for what I do on a day-to-day basis, which is really just stuff here in town, this is perfect. It costs me next to nothing. To charge this thing fully, from literally zero to fully charged, is under $5 Canadian off peak hours where I am. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how this compares to the gas version of the Kona, because, you know, for the most part, we talk about on this show that if you're buying an electric vehicle, it's because you already have that mindset. You want to buy one, you've done some research, you're looking at your options now. It's kind of hard to convince somebody not in the market for an EV to buy an EV. But I figured it'd be kind of fun this time because the Kona is offered as a gas vehicle, how that compares. So let's go over the numbers. All right, so here in southwestern Ontario, electricity will cost me 7.6 cents per kilowatt hour off peak hours. To charge the car up fully, which is drained completely to fully 100% to get 420 kilometers, would cost me $4.86 Canadian, or $1.16 per 100 kilometers. Now we take a look at the Kona gas version, the most comparable to this, the fully loaded N line. You're getting all-wheel drive with that. 9 liters per 100 kilometer combined fuel efficiency. Now, we're just going to go based on those numbers, give you a bit of an average here. Currently, gas costs $1.40 in Canada, or at least where I am right now. So that would mean it would cost $12.60 per 100 kilometers to drive. That means it's $11.44 more to drive 100 kilometers with the gas version. Price for the gas and the line ultimate, $42,060 Canadian. Price for this, as I mentioned, about $53,299. That's, you know, no paint options on either vehicle, no accessories, nothing, just delivery and the price. So that's an $11,239 difference. There's no rebates anymore, at least as of filming this, and this is without any deals or incentives. This is base MSRP. So, you know, you're normally going to negotiate a little bit, and there might be some discounts, but as it is, base price, $11,000 difference. Now, taking that $1.16 per 100 kilometers that I would get on this and the $12.60, right, as I mentioned, there is a $11.44 difference. So what I did is I took that and divided it by the difference. It got me to 98,243 kilometers. So you would effectively have to drive this car for about 100,000 kilometers before you would break even in terms of paying less for electricity than you would for the cheaper price for gas. Now, maybe that works out for some people, right? Maybe you're going to be keeping this for a while. If you're doing 20,000 kilometers a year and you keep it for 5 years, there's your 100K, so you're going to break even. If you drive more, then, you know, you'll eventually see more savings. And this is, again, based on just basic numbers here. Obviously, if you're going to be doing fast charging or charging outside of your house, it's going to cost you more. Price of gas also fluctuates as well. We've seen it go up to about $1.52 per liter here within the last couple of weeks, and it's come down to $1.40. So prices for gas will fluctuate as well. So as of filming this, that's the numbers that I'm going with, making it about a 5-year commitment to get this vehicle to break even versus the gas version. So I hope that helped you understand a little bit of the price difference between a gas and fully electric vehicle. Now, for 2025, there really was no change. This is a carryover model from 2024, which was the new generation for both the Kona gas and electric. If you want the N line, that's new. It's a new trim available, It's trim in the US. Here in Canada, it's a package. You can get the N-Line Ultimate, which gives you all the sporty bits on the vehicle. Much like the regular gas version, it'll make it look like that. So pretty cool option there if you're looking for something a little bit more on the sporty side of things. But for the most part, the Kona is a very solid electric vehicle. If you're looking for something that is small, compact, enjoyable enough to drive, and has essentially all the features that you really need at this price point, the Kona is the way to go. If you live in a climate that doesn't require all-wheel drive, that's a big key as well. Would I drive this in the winter? I did. We did it in 2019. You can check out that video. In fact, not only did I drive it in the winter, but I took that to see how far I could go on a single charge. Fully charged and drove nonstop 279 kilometers before it ran out. But as always, we invite you to leave your thoughts in our comments below. But there's something new that you can do as well. If you actually own this Hyundai Kona EV, whether it's this generation or the previous, or any electric vehicle for that matter, you can check out ratemyev.com and leave your thoughts and opinions there. It's a website dedicated to owners and journalists writing their reviews about the cars that they own. You know, I had my Focus Electric for a number of months. I really love that vehicle and did some videos on it, but it's a great place that I could post and talk about my ownership experience. So we invite you to check out ratemyev.com. Leave your thoughts on the vehicle that you own, or vehicles that you own. If you've got multiple electric vehicles, you can check it out. And it's also a great place to see ownership reviews, not just from journalists like myself, but people who actually live with these vehicles on a daily basis, how they've been for them, why they've chosen them, maybe anything that they dislike, quirks and things that they wish they knew before they bought it. All of that sort of thing you can find on ratemyev.com. So you can check them out. We always invite you to subscribe to our channel as well, and make sure you like and share the video online if you enjoyed it. We appreciate you watching, and until next time, take care.